So you're scrolling through Facebook with the newfound tips that you learned in the last video and you find a good deal on an AE86. Now you're wondering, what are the first mods should I do to it? Well, I'm about to tell you guys the first 5 mods you should do to an AE86. Some of these are on the list because of the rarity of the parts, and you should probably buy them now if you ever want to buy them at all. And some of them are also just great first mods that you should do to improve the AE86 as a car. So the first mod that you should do to every AE86 once you buy it is do the maintenance. And yes, I'm talking about the oil change and all the other fluids, but more specifically, I'm talking about a couple of things you should do to every AE86 as soon as you get it. First off, if you're getting an AE86 from anybody that's not a grandma, they probably did some hooning in it, so the rear diff will probably whine. A really easy fix for this is a solid pinion spacer instead of the OEM one that comes on the car. Next is door hinges. On the AE86, for some reason, the doors start to sag after 40 years of them being open and closed. And if they sag enough, they will start to dent up your fenders and make the gap between the fender and the door wider. The last thing that I would do is I would look on the marketplace for Zenki fenders if you did buy a Kuki, and if you live any place that has a hint of salt, you're probably gonna have some rust behind those plastics. So the reason why these next 2 items are on the list, because they are almost out of stock, if not already there, which will skyrocket the price of these items, and that is the rear Kuki bumper and the front Zenki lip. If you've ever wanted to switch over to the JDM bumpers, you better do it now, because if you keep on pushing it off, they're gonna go out of stock, and then you're gonna have to pay an arm and a leg for it. At that point, it's just not worth it.
Where are you going?
Go fill the truck up again.
The rear Kuki bumper got a notice from Toyota that they have no more in stock, and I feel like the lip is coming soon. I made a video about a year ago stating that I probably bought one of the last rear Kuki bumpers for sale, and I installed it. Everybody was clowning me for it, saying they still made them and that there's a bunch in stock. Turns out I was right. They discontinued it a couple months ago. So if you want to buy a rear Kuki bumper, you better hit up your nearest reseller and see if they have any in stock. Hopefully the prices haven't risen too much. So for number 3, since you already have the rear Kuki bumper and the front Zenki lip, all you need now is the Zenki front bumper. Unfortunately, those go for an arm and a leg right now, probably around $2,000 to $3,000, depending if you get the brackets and the emblem, and if it's in a good condition. But I have a good alternative for you. Restore Parts is a company that makes replica items of OEM parts. They have the Zenki bumper for sale, and the reason why I'm telling you to buy this now instead of later is because every time they go out of stock on eBay, the next time they restock, they always rise the price by a little bit. Once you get the Zenki front bumper, get a Kuki front emblem, and then just modify it to work. There's no reason you should be spending $200 on the Trano emblem. For the lights for the front bumper, I would look for an 80s Camry or a Suzuki Samurai. Both of these turn signal lights work on the AE86. You're just going to need to do a couple modifications to the bumper, and since the bumper is an OEM, it's not going to really be that painful. So now that we got all the items that will rise in price out of the way, we're going to talk about something that will actually make the car function a little bit better. And most of y'all already know this because it's a mod that a lot of people do as their first mod, which is coilovers. I recommend getting the annex coilovers. Those are the ones that I have on my car. The thing I like about them is that they're good for track, but they're also good for dailying. A lot of these stiff coilovers make the ride super harsh, but the annex coilovers kind of put a median in between the two, and I love them. Another thing that's really good about these annex coilovers is with the AE86, the spindle is attached to the strut, and if you buy a cheaper coilover, sometimes that spindle will break off. Another thing people do is they buy a coilover by itself and then they weld the spindle on there. If you want to do that, that is a little bit of extra work, but it could save you some money. If you're doing that, I would recommend going with BC Racing coilovers because those are also really good on a budget. And the 5th thing you should do to your newly acquired AE86, if it's not done already, is buy the HKS exhaust. What's so good about this exhaust is that it's budget friendly. A lot of the Fujitsubo and the more name brand ones are around $800 to $900, maybe even $1,000 after shipping. The HKS exhaust you can get for around $500, and it sounds great, and it's still made by a big name HKS. It's not too loud, it's not too quiet. I honestly think it's just perfect. If you wanted a really loud exhaust, maybe a year ago, I would say get the Buddy Club exhaust, but those unfortunately have been discontinued. So the last and only budget exhaust for the AE86 is the HKS Sport exhaust.
Again?
So here are a couple honorable mentions. These 2 items I didn't want to put on the list because they aren't really needed, and you could do without them. So the first one is with this really old car. The headlights aren't the best. I would definitely recommend getting the Ray Brig racing headlights. They're really good. I don't know why they're racing. I guess because they have better visibility, and I guess you need that during racing. They're good for daily use too, and they don't look out of place. They look like the originals, but they're just a little bit brighter. And the other honorable mention is, just like I said about the kooky rear bumper and the Zenki front lip, if you ever want to do the ITB swap, I do recommend just picking up the silver top ITBs by themselves. The black top ones are pretty rare and more expensive. If you just pick up a set of silver top ITBs and put them on the shelf for later, that will definitely save you some money. I think about a year ago they were going for around $200. Now I see them on eBay from like $500 to $600. So if you wanted to do that in the future, I'd definitely pick up a pair now and just stick it on the shelf for later. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like down below if you did learn something, or if you just like the video. Join the Discord down below. We play video games in there and just talk about car stuff. Probably next video is going to be me tuning my AE86, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.